Hey guys, welcome back to the TohirT channel. TohirT is here. I hope you had a fantastic week. Well, it's still pandemic out there and it's the end of the summer, or actually, the summer is officially over if you look at your calendar. But we decided that this is a long weekend, one of the really last opportunities here in the United States to go and enjoy something out there. And out of all the places, we decided to pick the Statue of Liberty, the Liberty Island, and just pass and cruise by the Ellis Island. Yes, it is still a pandemic. Yes, you still have to observe all the social distancing rules and wear the mask and use the hand sanitizers and all those things. But at the same time, one of the benefits of going, and I use the word benefits loosely, is the fact that it's not as crowded. And if you're curious to see what that experience is like, and if you should go and do something like this and visit your local national monument, well, you hit the right link and you're visiting the right video. Let's do this. If you've been to my channel long enough, or at least seen some of the videos in the past, you know that I like to talk about different new experiences, the new lifestyle things that you might try out for yourself. Well, if you're curious to see other similar kind of videos, check out this link over here or the card at the end of the video. Statue of Liberty and the Liberty Island, specifically Statue of Liberty, let's face it, is one of the most iconic parts of the United States, one of the most iconic statues in the world. This is the image that right away tells you what city you're looking at in the movie, photo, or maybe your other YouTube video. Ellis Island in its own right as well is symbolic to how this country was founded, since this was the first place where all the immigrants would come in to obtain the citizenship of the United States. Yeah, it was that easy. I should make a video about what it's like to get the citizenship now in 2000s, let's put it that way, under the current political climate. But back in the day, you just needed to make to that island. And as you cruise towards that island, you see that monumentous, that iconic symbol of the United States looking at you and greeting you in the harbor. Well, just for the sake of, before we even start talking about the logistics, it's worth mentioning, since let's accept the fact that pandemic is still around, it's not a hoax, it's still out there. We made sure we wore masks like 99% of the time. We had masks the moment we left the car and up until the moment we came back. We only took the masks once when we sat down to eat lunch on Liberty Island. And even then we had at least 5 meters, so it's about 15 feet of space between us and the next table to go and enjoy the food. And other than that, we went through a bunch of hand sanitizer, we made sure we always keep our distance, and in general exhibit safety and precautions that is reflective of the current state of things. And if you hate masks, I hear you, but that's not really for you. Do it for others. Make sure you take care of other people who want to enjoy those monuments as well as you do. Unless you have your own boat, which great on you and great really on your friends, or you're gonna use the ski jets. There are only 2 places from where you can depart to visit either or both Liberty Island, where the Statue of Liberty is, and the Ellis Island, where that port of entry is for the immigrants back in the day. Well, you can either take the Battery Park location, which is located at the south tip of Manhattan, or you can take the Jersey side. The main difference is that, that's purely personal opinion, unless you live in one of the boroughs and you're going to take local transportation to the Battery Park, it does not make sense for you to go to the Manhattan side. If you're coming from anywhere outside of New York, take the Jersey route. In Jersey City, you get parking, which is $7 versus you're probably going to spend 30 to 40 bucks to park anywhere if you find a parking spot around the Battery Park. And if you do, it's most likely going to be one of those underground parking lots, and you have to go through the hassle of also making sure you have the coupons and everything to drive that cost down. Well worth for you to be on the Jersey side. On top of that, the Jersey side offers you a great park, so you're going to be actually parking next to a very nice green area where you can hang out on your own merits without even crossing over to the Ellis Island and Statue of Liberty, and you get this awesome view of Manhattan from there as well. So well worth going the Jersey side and enjoying it from that perspective. When it comes to buying tickets, use the Statue Cruises. There are multiple websites that I came across that sell tickets to visit the Statue of Liberty. I'm sure there are a bunch of peddlers on the city streets of Manhattan, at least as I recall, they were trying to shove you in the face the fact that there's a tour available to the Statue of Liberty. It's way cheaper to buy it online, at least considerably cheaper compared to the other websites that I came across, where the entire family package, which was essentially 2 adults, an elderly, a kid, between 4 and 12, and the infant who was free, I ended up spending I think $61 or $62 for all of us, where the similar group of people on the other website that I came across ended up being like 85. So again, it's like 30% difference in price, well worth for you to use their website. Plus, the Statue Cruises are the ones who own the boats, own the location. They are the first party who you want to deal with. Timing wise, plan accordingly. Trust me. I'll talk about my personal experience in a second, but make sure you arrive at least 15 minutes before the actual departure. So in our case, the boat was scheduled at 1 p.m. The actual departure is at 1:10. The best practice would have been for us to be there at like 12:50, 12:55, especially if you're parking on the Jersey side. Consider the fact that it's about a 10-minute walk, like a slow pace walk from the parking lot to the actual dock. So you have to account that as well. So it makes it 20 to 25 minutes in advance of the departure. In our case, and don't do that, please don't do that, we ended up showing up at the check-in point 4 minutes before the actual departure. So at 1:06, with my mother-in-law, who still needs time to go over here, who was like walking on her own. She's older lady, she takes her time. We were right there waiting, and there's still a security checkpoint to go through. And then after security checkpoint, I have like a stroller, my camera bag, something else. I'm talking to my 4-year-old. We're like almost running towards the boat to make sure we make it on time. My oldest kid loses his shoe, grabs it, picks it up, so he now wobbles in one sock and the other shoe, and we finally make it onto the boat. And we still have to ask the guys, the captain of the boat, to wait for my mother-in-law, who is about to walk over to that area. This is ridiculous. It's not worth being in that position. I know this is what sometimes kids do to you, and it's a production to get everyone organized on time, but please plan accordingly. Spend some time ahead of there finding the best seat possible on the boat rather than rushing like we did. The boat trip itself is relatively easy. I don't think I really even noticed it that much. A fun fact is also because we were late, we had to stay at the lower level, right close to the exit, which to me was actually the best experience possible. It was more social distancing friendly, so a lot of people were far away from us. We had still the windows where gave me plenty of view. Here's some of the shots that I took from those windows. I've seen the Manhattan, I got to see and take photos of the Statue of Liberty, of the Ellis Island. It was perfect. Everyone rushes to the top deck because they think they, rightfully so, get 360 view of the entire area around the boat, but I bet, especially in the COVID-19 era, it was not socially distancing friendly. So if you're like me, you prefer to take your time and stay away from various bacteria that people care, stay on the lower deck. Another important consideration to make is when you take different starting positions. If you start from the Jersey side, you first stop at Ellis Island and then you go to the Liberty Island, where on the New York side, when you leave from the Battery Park, it's actually the opposite, and you stop at the Liberty Island first. Well, the reason why it's important, you cannot go back and forth between the islands constantly. Your ticket entitles you for one round trip. In our case, when we were going through the Ellis Island, we actually skipped the opportunity because we knew we only have in us one walk around one island, so that would be the Liberty Island, and Ellis Island, as much as I would love to go there, was not necessarily our top priority, so we skipped it. And in our case, that means that we forgone our opportunity to visit it. So once you skip the first stop, you cannot come back. Especially important if you're taking it from the Battery Park and you think that you want to leave the Statue of Liberty as like dessert, as a last stop. No, you skip the Liberty Island stop when you're coming from the Battery Park. You're done, because afterwards the boat will go to the Ellis Island and come back to Manhattan. So decide and plan accordingly in advance. If you only want to visit one island, that's fine. But if you want to visit both islands at the same time on the same trip, keep that in mind. Do not waste money on buying another round trip. Just make both stops, go hang out, spend 40 minutes, wait until the next boat, and hop to the next island. Now we're finally at the Liberty Island. And you know what? It was amazing. I honestly enjoyed it. I'm frequently skeptical about visiting those kind of popular landmark points, because sometimes you arrive at there, like that was my experience at Leaning Tower Pizza, because once we were there, we were like, all right, what's next? I saw this thing, it's leaning, great on the architect who built this thing, done. That was it. Like I remember seeing it and I'm like, okay, cool, next one. And we left. It was a completely different experience for me when it came to the Statue of Liberty. Especially, I think it's interesting how you get introduced to it for the first time, although you do see it from the boat as you pass by. Once you disembark from the boat and you walk across the quad, the first view of it is actually from the back. So you see that monumentous back and you see the hand raised with a torch up in the air, and it like creates some sort of like aura of mystery. And the cool thing is that the view was really unobstructed. Like we were so I keep struggling with the words like amazing, lucky, or timely, because I know the reason why it wasn't obstructed, because we're in a pandemic situation and there were barely any people on the island. But to me, as a person who had a camera, who wanted to take some photos, take some videos, that was a benefit. I had my family with me. I took these amazing shots of my kids, and as you can see, it's completely unobstructed. It's them and the Statue of Liberty, easy as that. So you do get to experience that today. I'm sure when it's crowded, I heard from one of the local rangers that essentially that place is completely packed. That quad is like packed with people, where in our case, you can keep your social distance, you can do your own thing in your own corner, take the photos, and no one gets in the way. Also important to note, in today's world, it is very social distancing friendly. All the sitting areas, and there are a bunch of benches, there are a bunch of places for you to sit down. You can even take, blanket and do like a little picnic on the grass. There's plenty of space to do that, especially today in this current environment. When we decided to have our lunch, had a nice arrangement of a few chairs where we were able to sit down, get our food out, eat, enjoy the place, let the kids run around a little bit, take some cool photos, and no one really got in our way. For the best culinary experience, I do recommend to bring your own food. In our case, we did a takeout. Part of the reason why we were a little bit late, last minute planning. As we jumped into the car, we decided we were gonna pick up something to eat. Hey, anyway, don't judge me. We made it on the boat. But that's the best experience. You do have a couple of places on site to buy some like ice cream and some junk food like pretzels and hot dogs and stuff. But if you really want to like eat, bring something with you. That's the best possible, and you're allowed to, as long as it's in a nice closed container in the bag. No one gave us any issues. We had like a full bag full of food. No one had any issue with us carrying it all the way and then finding a location, sitting down and eat. And there are plenty of garbage disposal places for you to get rid of all of that stuff once you're done. In terms of actual activities and like doing things, there's not much. Honestly, you are there for the statue, let's face it. In our case, I know they closed down the inside of the statue in the museum, so you cannot go inside, you cannot go up to the crown. I think you can even go up to the torch, right? At least according to this Michael Jackson video. But in our case, it was really just you walk around, you see this amazing statue, which well worth the experience. Honestly, I'm not just raining down on the parade there. That was well worth all the monies invested and all the hassle of getting there. But besides that, you get your museum, which is interesting to walk through, but that was okay. Then you get your gift shop, you get 2 bathrooms, and you get a couple of those stops to get some junk food for yourself. That's about it. So you are there primarily to enjoy the view of the Statue of Liberty. Then you can definitely enjoy the view of the Jersey side, the Staten Island, the Brooklyn, Manhattan. You see them all around you. You get all the birds flying in the air. You can watch that. A bunch of helicopters. I don't know why they're like buzzing like flies all over there. You get to see a lot of the boats, the ski jets, people just enjoying the nice weather in our case, some sailboats. That was fun. And besides all of those things that are purely located there, and something I already mentioned, but I would say the view from the Liberty Island is one of the best views of Manhattan, an obstructed view where you can see everything from the southern tip of Manhattan all the way through the midtown into the upper parts of Manhattan, and all the buildings, all essentially between your Chrysler buildings, why am I blanking? Empire State. Jesus, I forgot the name of the Empire State. Empire State Building, you see your One Trade Center, so all the main monuments, 157 further in the distance, one of these like new high-rises building up and growing like mushrooms in Manhattan. That's awesome. I really indulged it. I really recommend you to enjoy it. This is still probably second favorite view. I think to me the most iconic view of Manhattan is from the White Stone Bridge. If I find the footage, I'll show it over here. This is like by far my favorite view of Manhattan. Maybe it's also associated because I usually see it when I drive to the airport or from the airport, from the JFK, but that's my top favorite view. This now is my second favorite view of Manhattan. So yeah, overall, awesome experience. As I said, if people tell you that visiting Liberty Island is boring because you just see the statue and that's it, yes, you only see the statue, but it's a glorious view. I personally love New York. New York is still by far my favorite city in the world, and being that close to that iconic place, seeing it in person, thinking about what it was like to see this statue back in the day, like in 1800s and 1900s, right? When you visit it, it's amazing. It's awesome to visit. I think especially right now, although it's a pandemic, you should be safe. Don't be a fool. Wear a mask. Come visit it. It's well worth your time, well worth the effort, and it's okay if you don't come to visit some insides of it in some museum. Just alone standing by the foot of the statue was well worth the trip. Have you been to the Statue of Liberty before? Do you think it was worth the visit, or is there other monuments that you would suggest and recommend? Or do you think it was a bad idea to go there under the COVID-19? I don't know. You should just be safe, and you should act according to the way you are, where you're health-wise, and what the time is like when you're watching this video. Hopefully by the time a lot of you watch this video, we're done and dusted with this pandemic. Either way, share your thoughts and comments in the section below. Finally, I must say, a lot of people would say that, oh, it's enough to look at the Statue of Liberty from the boat. I've been on different types of boat trips during the day or night that pass through Statue of Liberty. Of course they would. You're in Manhattan, why wouldn't you? And none of them compared to actually being there and again standing right next to that statue. It's like you don't comprehend the full size of that monument until you're right next to it. So just look at some of the photos and the videos that I showed you in this video. Make sure, especially once pandemic is over, once you have an opportunity and you're in the area and you're around Manhattan, take half a day, visit the Liberty Island, visit the Statue of Liberty. It's an awesome experience, well worth whether you're a fan of New York City or not. And if you're not, really. Thank you very much guys for stopping by. If you're new to this channel, go ahead, hit the subscribe button and check out the videos in the backlog. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you very much for stopping by. As always, let me know in the comment section below what you thought about this video, and I will see you all next Saturday, 10 AM Eastern, on this very channel. New music recommendation. It is that time of the year, and well, it's Victoria Monet. I do not know much personally about her in terms of like her personal life, her origin. I just love her music. I came across her first song, at least for me, that was the first song, the Monopoly, the song between her and Ariana Grande, featuring Ariana Grande, I guess that's the right way to say it. But in any case, awesome song, and from then on I've kind of been following her, and she recently dropped a new album, Jaguar. Beautiful. Great R&B vibes, very unique, very nice and smooth album that's easy to listen and have it on the loop. One of those kinds that I really enjoy, and there are a couple of interesting songs that like really get you going. So if you're looking for new music, make sure you go check her out. Other than that, I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. My son, it was so funny, when he saw the Statue of Liberty, he saw the torch, he saw that golden part, right, the flame of the torch, and he was like, oh, this is a cold chicken, pock, pock, pock. That's it. From now on, I cannot unsee that. Now for me, Statue of Liberty has a golden chicken on it. Yeah, anyway, now I'll see you in the next one. Peace.